Melbourne, Australia. Carlos Alcaraz just discovered that looking sharp in practice and delivering in matches are two very different things. The top-seeded Spaniard advanced to the third round Wednesday, defeating Germany's Yannick Hanfmann 7-6, 4, 6-3, 6-2 in a match that required far more of his focus than the scoreline suggests. Hanfmann came with ammunition. His forehand and backhand were sharp, his serves were hitting with pace, and his movement was positioning him for offensive opportunities that Alcaraz had to actively shut down. It wasn't the kind of match where the world number one simply imposed his will. It was the kind of match where Alcaraz had to adjust, compete, and ultimately grind through. At 22, Alcaraz is hunting something unprecedented. A win at Melbourne Park would complete his career Grand Slam, making him the youngest man in history to accomplish that feat. He's already won the US Open, Wimbledon, and the French Open. The Australian Open represents the final puzzle piece. But first, he has to navigate a draw where every opponent will come with specific game plans designed to disrupt his rhythm. Hanfmann was simply the first test. Not an easy one, but necessary preparation for what's coming. The conditions education continues. What Alcaraz discovered Wednesday is that the Australian Open plays differently than the other slams. The hard court conditions are unique. The pace of play creates different reaction times. The heat, the humidity, the specific characteristics of Melbourne Park's courts, these are variables Alcaraz is still adjusting to, even at the elite level. His own self-assessment suggested someone processing the experience in real time. The match revealed gaps he didn't expect to find. His team's perspective helped him understand what actually happened. Sometimes players execute well without fully recognizing the quality of their performance. Other times they're harder on themselves than the circumstances warrant. Wednesday was a lesson in both. Alcaraz played better than he initially thought, but still below where he expects to perform when the stakes escalate. The Australian Open is a unique proving ground. Alcaraz has already won multiple slams. He's the consensus best player on the planet. But Melbourne Park humbles everyone eventually. The Hanfmann match was a reminder that even number one seeds have to earn their way through draws with focus, adjustment, and sustained intensity. Alcaraz is getting accustomed to the conditions and finding his rhythm. But finding rhythm at a Grand Slam happens while advancing through rounds. The pressure doesn't decrease. The opponents don't get easier. If anything, Hanfmann's match served as a wake-up call. The real test is still ahead. The youngest career Grand Slam narrative. What makes this Australian Open run different from Alcaraz's other major victories is the historical weight. Completing a career Grand Slam at 22 would be extraordinary. Only a handful of men have accomplished the feat at all. Doing it at his age, in this era, against this level of competition, would be genuinely historic. But history doesn't arrive on a schedule. Alcaraz has to win matches. He has to survive encounters where opponents bring their best, where conditions challenge his adjustment, where the magnitude of what's possible doesn't paralyze him. Hanfmann was a tough draw in round 2. Not the toughest possible, but tough enough to require Alcaraz to be sharp, aggressive, and ultimately victorious through a tiebreak that revealed both players' level. Alcaraz won that moment. The question now is whether he can sustain that level through matches that will only intensify in difficulty. He's one round closer to career Grand Slam history. But the Australian Open hasn't finished testing whether he's ready to claim it. Wednesday's match against Hanfmann was simply the educational portion of that examination. The real evaluation still awaits in subsequent rounds.